Okay, cool. So we're ready to go live. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we just freestyle the whole thing, but you've got your questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we make it a nice, authentic, flowing conversation. If one of us is talking, basic rules like don't talk because technology gets all funny. Okay, cool. Ready? Okay. Cool. All right, Tata for Lover, everyone. I am here with Jaqui and Pauline, who are both teachers, and we're going to talk about COVID-19, kids at home, parents going crazy, and I think this was a really important topic. Shout out to the Twitter community who suggested this. And yeah, before we begin, let's introduce ourselves. So I know Lingy for many years. We went to uni together many years ago. But Jaqui, I've never met you before. So we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Samoan. I was born in Samoa, came here when I was 9. I think my story resonates with everyone. It's the story of, us coming here for, just a brighter future, a better future for all our families. I teach at Waitawhiti College, been teaching for, like Elijah said, thank you Elijah, over 15 years. I'm also the Year 13 Dean and Head of House at Waitawhiti College, and I'm humanities or social science teacher too.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. If you were stuck on an island and you could only take one person, who would you take with you?
Ooh, my mom. Every girl needs their mom, man.
Yeah. Oh, nice. That's cool. Thank you so much, Jaqui. I've actually never done this before, so I think this is going quite well for the first minute. So this is good. Lingy, what about you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Pauline, or I prefer Lingy. I'm currently a history social sciences teacher at Hobsonville Point Secondary School. This is my 3rd year in teaching. Before that, I was in corporate for many years after uni, and just decided to look into education. And so pretty much born and raised out West Auckland. Did all my schooling out here, moved to Australia for a few years, and I came back, and here I am teaching.
So. Nice, cool. So one of the questions that I asked Jaqui before you came on, Lingy, was something that I've always wondered is, do you have a lot of patience? I don't know.
Me?
Yeah, both of you. So, I mean, Jaqui already answered the question, but just while we're live, would you say?
I think you learn patience through the role. Yeah. I don't think I was a patient person, but teaching requires you to be patient.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually stretched me in that area because I'm not a very patient person, but it's amazing what a role can make you do professionally.
Yeah.
But definitely does require patience, but if you keep in mind what you're trying to achieve, it's much easier to be patient. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's I've always wondered that. What about you, Jaqui?
Totally agree. Yeah. You have to have patience to go into teaching. What else? Like I said before, you'll lose the plot. All our kids are different, so it is something that you do have to learn, and you have to become an expert at it at some point. But yeah, it is definitely needed in this profession. Is to be patient with our kids, our colleagues, and the system that we're in too.
Just a quick question. Have you ever dealt with a student who's been disobedient towards you, like to your face? Like you've asked them, sit down, open your book, and then they've been like, F off, miss, I don't want to do it.
In my case?
Both
fortunately,
of you?
No.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What about you?
Touch wood.
I teach at a Decile 10 school, so that is normal, but I think you need to set the boundaries and nip it in the butt straight away.
Yeah.
Or otherwise it's just continuous, and I think it's up to the teacher to control that behaviour in the classroom. If they get away with it the first time, it's continuous.
Right.
So you really got to, it's happened to me before, and it was the last time that happened with specific students. But yeah, I think if you allow it, it will continue happening. Yeah.
That's so true. Reflecting back on my high school years, we had one South African teacher who was just so strict, and I messed with him once and I never messed with him again.
Yeah.
He does not muck around. Like he goes straight to the principal. He goes straight to your parents. He doesn't give you warnings. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Zimri. Very good. So I'm interested to know about the pressure you were both going through when the Prime Minister announced that New Zealand was heading into level 4. What was that like for both of you, starting with you, Jackie?
I was actually in my office at that time with another friend of mine who's also our AP, Issa Tulsa. We were sitting in there just waiting for the announcement, and to be honest, I didn't know whether to cry or, I just didn't know. It was quite a surreal feeling. Never in my lifetime would have thought that I'll be in something like this. I think the pressure was quite overwhelming, and we've only got a day or so to try and get things sorted. And I think my head was more like, what are my kids going to do? What are they, knowing as a dean, knowing that some of our kids' situations are quite dire, and I was a bit worried for them. I was a bit worried for the staff and the pressure that's going to be put on them in regards to getting some work out to them.
Yeah.
And how we're going to connect with our kids during this time. I think a lot of us it was quite, we were just, for me, it was just weird. I don't know quite how to explain it. We were freaking out about things, just a whole lot of things just come through your mind, and then what's this going to lead to? But yeah, we will. Yeah, I guess that's for us. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. What about you, Lingy? What was it like for you?
I was pretty much like Jackie. It was our lunch break, and I was in my office listening to the announcement by Jacinda, and it was the most surreal feeling. Like, you can't explain it. It was just like, so it's during lunch, and then I had one more period left, and I just remember going to class, and we have a class I co-teach, so we collaborate with other subjects. So our class is usually there's about 50-ish students in that class, and I remember just turning up during lunch, after lunch, and there was only like 3 students. So in between the time of the announcement and block 4, our last period, parents had called their kids to come home, kids have left, and it was just crazy. Like, I didn't know. I think I was more worried about what is this world coming to.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, you're scared, but you don't know what you're scared of. It was like, it was really unreal. Like, the feeling was unreal, and there was just a lot of panic. I just remember that the kids were upset. They were like, can we have slumber parties at our friend's house? I was like, no. Like, just the things that kids worry about is just crazy. But I think it was just, nothing will prepare you for that kind of announcement. Yeah. And the fact that you only had 48 hours, it was already the end of Monday. It was quite, I think it's one of those things that you'll always remember where you were, what you were doing. It's kind of like a 9/11 moment, like you just always remember.
Yeah, that's so true. Because I was part of the earthquake when I was in Christchurch, the 2011 earthquake. Yeah. I was there, and I still remember every single moment of that period and what I was doing when the earthquake was taking place. So that's so true. It's something I feel the same way. So for our parents who aren't fully aware of their kids' schoolwork or who aren't tech savvy, does anyone? Some people don't know what I mean by that, tech savvy. Like, they're not onto it with technology. Okay. Yeah. So just for our parents who aren't fully aware of their kids' schoolwork and stuff, what are some things that they can do to monitor their kids' learning? We'll start with you, Jackie.
I think the first thing to do with families is, I think before you start monitoring your child's learners, maybe sit down and have a tell-and-all with them in regards to what is it that they've got to do, in regards to having a plan and a schedule, a realistic one, so that if they've got fouls and other things they've got to do, work that into your schedule. And and at least the parent and the student have got a clear idea of what needs to be done. And you've got to be realistic in the fact that you are not at school, you are at home, and that you don't have to do school from 8:40 right till 3:25 or 3:05. And to monitor, if they have got if they've got a good routine, a schedule that includes everything else that's going around the house, the parents can pop in, check on what work they're doing, even just asking simple questions. What are you working, having some idea of what the schedule is, and just asking them, how's it going? What are you working on now? Are you using your device, or are you just doing some reading, that kind of stuff? I think it's more for the parents, is that you're not trying to be the teacher. The best way to do it is just check in with them.
Right.
You can't mirror what's going on, and like what you said before, you can't mirror what happens in the school. You're basically there to support and guide your child and be that facilitator, not the teacher. In this case, not taking away anything from the parents, knowing that they are their child's first teacher. But in this case, I think it's just having a clear understanding of what your goal is, what your schedule is, sticking to that as best as you possibly can with your families.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Lingy?
Yeah, I'm the same. It's just encouraging. You have to talk with your kids, communicate with your kids. And yeah, you're not a science teacher or a maths teacher, and we don't expect that, but you need to know what your child's doing every day. And it's not that hard to ask for evidence, like, what are you working on? Show me what you're doing today. And I think it's just important to sit, like, I hope that most parents have sat down before school term 2 started and asked their kids, what are you supposed to be doing during this time? When is school starting? And the communication between the school and the parents is important. And I think it's just communicating and checking up on them, like, every day, whether it's just showing them what book you're reading, showing them what you've written for the day. It's just having that transparency that you can see that your child is actually doing something.
Yeah, that's so true.
It becomes a high trust model here, and that's what we got to, you have to be patient with your child, and you be patient with yourself, and you do have to trust your child that what they're doing is legit,
right?
And stuff like that. Yeah.
It's so true. Like, one of my friends on Twitter has only just found out that her child's school now has a Facebook page. So she didn't know that, and her daughter didn't tell her. So, so parents who are tuning in or are going to listen to this, search your kid's school up on Facebook, because apparently that helps. Because she was a bit Marcelo, like, how come you're not having schoolwork? And so she checked on Facebook. Yeah.
And just on that, like Lingy said, communication is really, really important during this time. And if you're a parent, if you have not heard from your school, call this. You should be here. You should have at least heard from the school, or a couple of if you're a high school, your child should have at least heard from at least 2 to 3 of their teachers or someone from the school.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold them accountable for that, because they should be at some point be in contact with the families.
Yeah.
Right, that's so cool.
Yeah, they're lying if they're saying that they haven't heard from the school, or the school's not going to be in touch.
Absolutely.
It's a total lie. So parents need to understand that. Don't let your kids talk you out of the school communicating with the student or with the parent. And that's correct. Most schools, I know ours, communicates on Facebook. Our parents are in this era of being on social media quite a bit. So yeah, definitely searching them up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any social media. And if you haven't heard from them, that's not right. You should be getting weekly updates from the school.
Yeah, and sorry, just to also add in that, and with the current situation, I'm at a decile 3 school, so every decile 1 to 3 school, especially for high school, speaking on high school, you should have heard from someone from the school in regards to the initiative that the government is rolling out in regards to devices and internet. So please, if you do not have access to the internet, and if your child doesn't have a Chromebook, get onto the school to put your name down,
Right.
and fingers crossed that something comes your way.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. So for our parents who aren't fully aware, so we'll elaborate more on that. So for our parents who aren't fully aware of their kids' school, what can parents do to support their kids' learning if they don't have access to technology or Wi-Fi?
I think we've also got to remember that technology has, we haven't been a digital school for my school probably in the last 20, 30 years, it's something new. So just because you don't have access to a computer or the internet, it doesn't mean the learning stops there.
Yeah.
Your parents are your first teacher, so there's a lot that you could do. There's a lot of reading and stuff that you could do. Pick up the Kusi Paia or the Bible if you've got nothing to read, the newspaper. A lot of our kids, if they have a cell phone with some data and stuff, they can access some of that work, provided they've got a little bit of data on, but they can also read. It's I think for them, in this case, if you don't have that, you can do a bit of literacy. There's a little bit of numeracy you can do. Even if you're baking, look at the numbers that you're dealing with and how many teaspoons or cup of milk or whatever. Everything that we do in our everyday life is either literacy or numeracy. So you don't necessarily need a device as such in that case. And if you are, then we're fortunate. We're one of some of the lucky ones that do.
Nice. Cool. What about you, Lingy?
So we are actually a paperless school. So
talk to us about that. Yeah.
So we're what we call a modern learning environment. So we're not like a traditional school. We don't have classrooms as in there's a door to walk in, you close the door and it's like 4 walls. It's not like that. It's a different setup. So we more focus on the well-being of the student, and hopefully if you take care of the well-being, it kind of overflows. But I think the point of difference of the school is we do not have books and pens. Everything is done online. So the transition has been a bit easier. We've only had a number of students who didn't have devices, but that was taken care of through the Ministry of Education. We had to report, and there were still numbers of students that didn't have appropriate devices or resources. But in saying that, totally agree with Jaqui. Everything you do is some sort of learning. And asking, I can remember back when I was in school, growing up, my parents, my dad, if we didn't have homework, we had to read an article or watch the news and then write about it. Like there's so many things you can do. In writing, reading, there's something you can always read. They are bound to have a book, if not a book, a Bible, not a Bible, a Mormon book, the Book of Mormon, a Quran, whatever you've got at home. Get them to read it, get them to read a few pages, then get them to write about it. And I think that's where you have, as a parent, you need to be active, proactive, if you don't have the resources. But today, I mean, it's only in special circumstances where there's absolutely no access to any kind of technology whatsoever. But you can get them to do creative writing. You can get them to write about anything, write about who they are, write a imaginative piece of work. There's so many things that you can do, but that's where the parents need to kind of step up a bit and be like, okay, I need you, Tom, to do this. I need Sally to do this. Spend an hour doing this. You just have to actually take responsibility in some sort of way if you have no access to technology. But I mean, I'm happy to post up some stuff or give you some information about what you could write about, or things like maths and that, like baking, cooking, measurements of stuff. There's learning in everyday activities.
Yeah.
So learning doesn't end at a textbook kind of thing. So there's always ways around it, but that's when you will need to sit down and actually think of what you could do for your child.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Did you have anything to add to that, Jaqui?
No, totally agree. Yep. There's so much to do.
Yeah. Awesome. So you spoke about this briefly just in the other questions, Jaqui, but I've got it in the questions here, so I'll read it out. I've read on this post on Facebook, and it was about parents who are trying to mirror the school routine at home. But what are your thoughts around that? Just if you want to elaborate more. I mean, is there a bad side to that? Is there a good side to that? Is there a good balance? What do you both feel? We'll start with you, Jaqui.
I think you don't try and do that.
Yeah.
It is important that you do have some sort, like I said before, it is important that you do have a schedule or a routine to stick to. But I think if you're going to try and if your child's going to try and get something out of what they're doing, it is best that, like I said before, it's best that you just leave them to do it and trust in them that they are doing it. Because you trying to mirror what happens in school won't be the same. And there is a fine balance there that you find balance act that parents have to take on board, because what you don't want is, if your child has got something to achieve, you don't want to jeopardize that by putting your parent hat on and then by pretending to be the teacher hat, put the teacher hat on. All you're going to end up is creating conflict, and your child will become disengaged and stuff like that. And that's what you don't want for your child, to give up and say stuff this, because that's not how my teacher does it. And yes, your teachers are not the holder of all knowledge, and we don't know everything too, but I do think there is a way that kids kind of engage with their teachers in a way that is very different to how they engage with their parents, and the approaches are very, very different. So my advice is, like I said, be the facilitator, be the support person, be the one that gives them, praise and acknowledgement and stuff like that, and trust that they're doing the work. But don't, because you're probably just going to get a, fucking aulu to you, and you'll get angry, and then nothing comes out of it, really.
True. Thanks, Jaqui.
I think for homeschooling, so the one thing that I have spoken to my form class about is if they've got, it just depends what your home situation looks like. And if kids have to look after other kids and have to do so many hours and stuff, of course, you can't do the 9:30 till 2:30 model. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But if you can, then schedule out the times that you can do homework, that you can do your schoolwork, and mum and dad have to be on board. But obviously that's not going to work, especially with our Pacifica families who have different dynamics. So you've got to find something that works for you, and you've got to be realistic, have to be realistic, and also have like a window where, okay, if it doesn't go to plan, you got to go back and do it during this time. But you're not expected to run a school at home. That's not the expectation. The expectation is that you're there to support your child through this time. We're not expecting you to be the teacher, but just to monitor and just to encourage your child to keep learning during this time. The one thing I have told my form class though is, if you do have a schedule, so we're scheduled to work from 9:30 till 2:30, the students, so they've still got blocks whether they follow it or not, but there is a time frame for them to do their learning. But I told them, if you're going to come to, so we meet 9:30 every day online for 10 minutes. And then I just ask them, have you logged into your Google Classrooms? Have you checked your emails? Because all the correspondence is coming through there. But I tell them before 9:30, should have got up, get dressed, have breakfast, do everything like you're going to school, right, to get yourself into that mode, into that, have that kind of like vibe that you're actually you're going to do something.
Yeah.
Because lying in bed, not brushing your teeth, not having a shower, it just sets a certain vibe. Like it's going to be a lazy day. So even I try to do that now. So I've like woken up, got ready, pretend that I'm going to school, but I'm just sitting in front of my laptop.
Yeah.
And sometimes getting off the bed makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's doing what suits you and your family and being flexible with that. But that's going to look different in every family for every student. So, yeah.
Can I add something to that too? Is for parents, and don't feel bad if if things don't quite work out. Our priority is first and foremost is to look after your families and keep them safe and well. This situation is not going to be a forever situation. We will come out of it, and schools are very well informed in regards to assessments. So there has to be flexibility around that. And there will be things put in place to support our families and our students. If parents, if you feel that you can't help your child, that things are not working out, please don't feel bad, because your first job is taking care of your families.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really important. And if you can get 1 or 2 hours in, great. Our kids, they're expected 3 to 4 hours per subject per week. That's for the seniors, and it's for the juniors, 2 to 3 hours per subject per week. So it's not a lot of time, because we know that it's not school, it's not your usual routines at school. And like Lingy said, it's really important that parents also, not just routines, but create a space, not somewhere where you can keep an eye on them, not in the bedroom. Tell them not to, a lot of kids study on their beds.
Yeah.
That's a no good. That's just going to keep them lazy. They're just going to fall into it and go, this is more comfortable. Maybe I'll get back into it. So if we create a space somewhere in the house that's your study area, stay there, and then you can monitor your kids through that way. Studying in the room, at least you got the door wide open with the desk there or on the floor. You just make do whatever you have, but remove the distractions and things away from them. And like Lingy said, different situations for different families, and that you've got to make what works for you and your aina.
Just out of curiosity for you both, and we'll start with you, Lingy, what does your day-to-day look like now that you're teaching from home?
So I wake up, I'm usually waking up about 7 now. I've actually started exercising, because I was just honestly, it was just late. Well, we've been on holidays for like almost 3 weeks. So I've just made it a habit to wake up, go do my workout, have breakfast, make my coffee. 9:30 I'm starting. So I've kept to the hours, 9:30 to 2:30. There's 4 periods within those timeframes, and I've just kept to it. It just gives me routine, and I feel like I'm achieving something.
Yeah.
And that looks different for other teachers. So the expectation from our school was that you don't have to be online between 9:30 and 2:30, but you must have the work there for the students to do. So, so between 9:30 and 2:30, I'm available online to teach. I'm available to answer any questions, but I work like a normal day, but just at my laptop in my room.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to have some sort of routine, and to actually get up and get ready, like physically get ready. I did one day where I just like kind of did a lazy day, and it didn't feel right. Yeah. So yeah.
Now, my next question, like, I'm just wondering, do you struggle to work from your room, or you're quite disciplined?
You have to get stuff done. Like, to be honest, like whether you struggle or not.
Also because you live with Heath, like, you got your little nephew who's a toddler. How do you find time to complete work when you need to spend time with Heath as well, or when Heath is being loud, or with any toddler is being loud?
So he's joined me in some of my classes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, like he'll come, like the kids are like, "Where's Heath?" Like they know who Heath is. But there's sometimes when I have to mute it, go outside and be like, "Heath," and like good growling. But we've got a good support here at home. My whole household are essential workers. Yeah. My sister works for corrections. My mum's social working. So we're in a lot of phone or video conferences. So when one's in a conference, the other one will take him. Yeah, my dad is not working at the moment, and he's just on YouTube and has no time for my nephew. So I don't know what he's doing, but I think it's you're trying to help out everyone at home. So there are times where I can bring him in and he can be, he'll just sit on the bed and he'll play on the phone. But I need to help out my sister. I need to help out mum, and they'll do the same for me. But it is hard. There are sometimes, like, I just sent a text message. I could hear his footsteps coming up, and I just sent a text to my sister, like, keep him downstairs.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just letting everyone know, like, you can't be disturbed during these times, and hopefully your household will help you out during those times. Yeah,
cool. What about you, Jackie? What does your day-to-day look like, and do you have any toddlers or little kids in the house that make noise?
No. Everyone's staying in their bubble. I think the lockdown has done some really, for me, amazing stuff for me, and that, like you, Pauline, is getting my butt out and actually walking. I haven't stepped foot in our neighbourhood or, since I was at Blockhouse Bay Intermediate, and my parents are both retired. My sister, who's a chef, is not working, so we and my niece Jordan, who's at Waitaki with me, so we have our family walks in the morning. Unfortunately, my timing is not the same as my parents. They like to go at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, so that's been our family routine, is getting up that early. But just doing our family walks. I come home and then I've already logged in about 8:30. I log in to probably about 11 or something, and then I'm on there probably the whole entire day with kids on and off. I'll go do whatever I need to do in the house, do our washing, whatever. Then I get back onto it, but I'm always online. Kids are always sending work, all sorts of odd hours of the time, so I just give them feedback with an assessment due in 11:59 last night. I had kids emailing me, can you just check this and that? So the day just really varies on what work we put out. But I've been fortunate to have an awesome support group here with my family. I just have to tell my mum and dad I'm going to need this area for this and that, and they'll go off and do their own thing. My sister, who's a chef, has been amazing. Who just prepares and cooks all our meals, so that really helps. You're very, very lucky. They just get on. They just leave us to do our work, really, and that's been really helpful and awesome for us. That's just cool. To recuperate and just get on with business, really.
Lucky you. Yeah, I'm quite lucky as well. Like, I've got my setup here in the lounge. And my family are all essential workers, so it's just me in the house. So I get to do podcasts and watch Netflix. And do you guys watch Netflix? I know you do, Lingy, but do you watch Netflix, Jackie?
Not really. Oh. I think I spend more time flicking through to find something to watch. I'm not a fan of season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kind of programs, and I find that that's what Netflix is. I'm just a 1 hour and a half movie kind of person.
I wish I was like that. Then I'd get more stuff done. I'm going to start on Ozark today, Lingy.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I'm going to start on that today. Yeah. So I
can't do it.
Yeah, that was my first, that's my first thing I've actually watched on Netflix since lockdown.
Yeah.
I thought that I was going to be Netflixing for 4 weeks, but nah, like
I feel guilty.
Which was real good, but Ozark is really good.
Yeah. I was going to start it yesterday, but I felt really guilty because I had a lot of work to do and I had to practice for this podcast. And no. Do you feel guilty when you're on Netflix during the work hours? I do.
During work hours?
Yeah. Sometimes I go on Netflix. I've watched Fresh Prince and stuff, and I'm like, oh no, I feel bad. Then I'll just close it.
I don't. Oh, well,
can't relate. Okay.
Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So, do you see widespread? Just for both of you. So we'll start with you, Jackie. Do you see widespread changes across the schooling system here in New Zealand as a result of COVID-19?
I hope so. I really, really do hope so, because one thing is that it's highlighted the inequalities that was already in our system, And hopefully by them knowing that and understanding that and highlighting that, that they're actually going to do something about it. And thank God we have Jacinda, you know, in regards to rolling out internet and Chromebooks to our families, giving our families access, you know, to the digital technology, the tools that we need for our schools and that. But don't stop there. There's so much more that we need to do for our families, especially for our lower decile schools and that. There's so much more that needs to be done. And some of the injustice that our kids, our Pasifika, our Māori kids have faced for so long, there needs to be work done at speed by the government to support families, to change the situations and to better the way schools run. You know, maybe look at, there's a whole lot of things that could look at having a curriculum that's more reflective of the reality that a lot of our kids live in. A curriculum that mirrors our situations, the people in front of the teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about decile 10 schools and private schools, because a lot of our kids that go there have the means to access that kind of stuff. But our other kids are the ones that, you know, not only are caught up in this digital divide, but socially and economically. There's a lot of issues there that we need to deal with, but at least this is highlighted and exposed there, and hopefully some more work gets done. Yeah. And don't just start with dishing out Chromebooks and you know, packs for schools and leave it at that. You know, I think now it's time to amplify that and work at speed, so that if anything ever, that we're better equipped to help all people, especially the ones that often get left behind and so on.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Jackie. That's so true. Absolutely. What about you, Lingy? Do you see widespread changes across the schooling system here in New Zealand as a result of what we're going through?
Yeah, 100% I agree with Jackie. Like, I think if anything, this has highlighted the inequalities amongst decile 10, different deciles, different schools, and different socioeconomic households, and just it's actually forcing us to kind of level up all students, all households, and I think it's been a good push us in the way of the future. I mean, this will probably not be the first, the only pandemic that we will probably face in the next few years, and just like natural disasters, anything, like we could have been better prepared, but who would have ever thought that it would take the corona to get us to install Wi-Fi into households that don't have it. And technology is just so important these days. The world lives on technology, and I think it's now forcing us to create the opportunities for every household to have access to such basic necessities that students will need, especially Chromebooks. Like, it was just sad to talk to my friends and their kids don't have Chromebooks, don't have laptops. And I think when I'm sitting in Hobsonville, that just doesn't even cross my mind, because if you come with no laptop, you can hire one from our library. So to actually...
Like a university. Hey, like uni. You know how uni you can hire...
Yeah. So that's how it works at our school, because there is no books and pens. But you kind of forget that when you're sitting in a decile 10 school. But then when you come back to the realities of talking to our own people, and they've got like 5 kids, 1 laptop or 1 old school computer, it's like, how are you going to share those resources amongst all these kids? And, you know, life is so unfair, and I think it's taken something like this to actually make the government change our approach to education, and just providing the resources for everyone, that everyone has the same access whether it be Mac or a Google Chromebook, what's the difference? But that they have access to those resources.
Yeah, true. Do you see the whole school system changing in terms of having those options to work from home, also to go to school from home? You know, like, if I can, that's just an idea that I came up with in my head, like having 2 days at school and then 3 days at home.
I think the idea, I mean, I think a lot of, I was thinking about it the other day, but I can just imagine some parents and some businesses thinking this is going to be a great opportunity, you know, to do online learning. But, you know, we're people. We're supposed to connect with people.
Right, absolutely.
We do more with people.
Yeah.
So I just think, I mean, if it works for you, it's great. If you can stay home and teach your child, that's great. But I just think school is such an important part of life. You learn through others. You learn through having relationships with people. And I just think it's going to open up opportunities and ideas, initiatives and stuff, but I think schools will always be around.
Right.
It's just, I think it's, yeah. I mean, homeschooling's always been available, but whether you got the energy and the time and the money to do that,
yeah,
that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And the patience.
And the patience, yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think there might be schools that might entertain the idea. Who knows? But like Ling said, for us as humans, that interaction is so important.
Yeah.
You know, especially our Pasifika people. We are in our little villages. Those are our bubbles, and we need that interaction. Schools, you know, for teachers, building relationships. If you're going to connect with your kids, it's imperative that you build those relationships, and that's where you get the engagement from.
Right.
So it's really, really important. I mean, some schools may even look at a 4-day week, you know, and a 3-day weekend. That might work for some, but for a lot of our Pasifika, in reality, for our Pasifika and Māori families, schools is the place where they're going to send their kids.
Right.
You know, for stability, to have access to the technology and the tools that they need to learn, and also so they can go to work to provide for their families.
Yeah.
And so I think for as Pasifika people, we need each other. We need that contact, that interaction, for us to be stimulated in that way, to learn and so on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome. So what have you guys done to create a healthy work-life balance for yourselves while working from home? We already spoke about this before, like getting into routine, but was there anything else you wanted to touch on or give advice to other teachers about how they can create a healthy work-life balance for themselves?
We've touched on it before, and also it's just you don't have to be online, you know, the whole entire time. Do what you've got to do. Like from our principal, he continues to say, your first job is to take care of your families. And that. And honestly, teachers, we don't shut off at 2:30 or 3 o'clock. You know, we are constantly checking our emails, constantly on the phone, marking kids' work. So there's not really a time where we shut off. But it is really important that you be kind to yourself and take time out for you and for your family. The work ain't going to go nowhere. It's still going to be there. So it is about you looking after yourself and then fitting everything else in there for you. But in these situations, take care of yourself and your family and chill. Enjoy the time while you enjoy the time.
Yeah, awesome. What about you, Lingy?
Yeah, I think well-being's so important during this time. It's not easy staying home for 4 weeks, especially if you're an extrovert and not having contact with people. So just doing things that you know is good for your well-being, for your mind and your soul and stuff. So, it's you're of no use to anyone if you're in a muck. But I think the one thing that's helped me is having an organised desk. I don't really have a desk. We've got an office and desk, but I don't use it because I'm just on the run. Like you go from one class to another. It's kind of like uni. We don't stay you don't have a classroom. You go to different classes. So having a desk and just being organized, like being tidy and stuff, that's really helped me. Just makes me feel good. And I always remember my parents always saying, you know, if your bedroom's untidy, if your bedroom's a mess, it's usually a reflection of your life. So, and it's so true. So I try to always keep, I think this is the first time I've like woke up, made my bed, made sure everything's in order. It just gives you a good, it sets you up for a good day kind of thing. So but definitely just doing whatever it takes to look after yourself and your mental well-being, because everyone's struggling, trying to stay home for 4 weeks. And, you know, just so many people are going through a lot of hardships at the moment. And, sometimes work is the last thing you are thinking of at this time. So, taking care of yourself is priority.
Awesome. Thank you. So any advice for any people out there who are aspiring to become teachers? Just starting with you, Jaqui.
Do it. If you want to be a teacher and make a difference, please go and do it. I think one thing that we as Pasifika people have is that we're already in situations, we've already been teachers. We don't need a piece of paper, you know, a piece of paper. Well, we do in this world, but there's so much knowledge and so much that we can pass on, and the amount of difference that we can make within our own communities will be amazing. We don't have enough teachers. There's so many Pasifika teachers out in South Auckland, and we need just as many Pasifika teachers out in West Auckland. There's a huge, Pasifika community in West Auckland, and every school should have the minimum of 10, 15 Pasifika teachers there. And I think because that's a reflection of the kids in front of us, especially from a decile 1, 2, 3 school. And the more of our own people that our kids see in front of them, the better, the better our kids will do, the more confident our parents will have in the system, because there's a way that we can deliver things that they will understand, and so on.
True.
Yes, please do. We need so many more Pasifika teachers in this country. So much more.
Cool. Lee?
Just do it. Apply, and if they accept you, it's a sign.
What do you want to go into teaching? Just because I would say would you call yourself a beginning teacher, or?
Yeah, I would still. I mean, I'm still learning. What
inspired you to go from being in the corporate world to now being in teaching?
So pretty much I was getting ready. So my boss was actually getting ready to retire, and it was just going to be a straight handover with the role for me. And we sat down and spoke about it. I don't know what came over me, but I just said that I no longer wanted to do it. And he asked me what I wanted to do, and he just said, if there's one thing I can tell you, being in this industry for 40 years, is you don't want to get to my age and be doing something that you hate. And he was months out from retirement, so he just asked me what I wanted to do, what I was interested in. I was never looking at teaching, but I was always interested in education. I was always I love learning, and if I had a dream job, it would have been something to do with research. But he asked me, like, what do you think about teaching? If you're interested in education, why don't you go into teaching? And to be honest, I wasn't fully convinced, but I was convinced enough to apply. And I just applied, and I was like, God, if this is meant to be, I'm going to get into this course. So, and everything, the rest is history. So I kind of went out on a limb kind of thing. I just went out there and just decided, but I wasn't sure. But you learn a lot about yourself. It's a journey. And
I find that quite inspiring. Sorry to cut you off, but I find that quite inspiring because I know that a lot of my friends and family refuse to step into a new career path or anything they're passionate about because of their age. I'm not saying you're old, but I'm saying like they're like, they associate learning in school with being 18 to 21 when you leave high school. But you being in your late 20s or early 30s and deciding on a career change, was that scary for you?
No, it was more like, I've been the type that if I'm set on something, I'll do it. I don't really care what my age was. I was early 30s by then.
Oh,
so I've been through life. I know what it was like to have a crap job, to have a job that I didn't want to be in. So I had nothing to lose. But just to, for anyone who is worried about changing careers, like statistics and research shows that you change careers at least 3 times in your work during your working life.
Yeah.
And it's whether you want to be happy. You got to weigh up what do you value. If you value money, then chase whatever makes you feel happy, kind of thing. But don't be afraid to step out, because you only learn so much. And even if this didn't work out, I would have learned a lot. I mean,
that's so true.
You would have learned a lot. And you don't, life is in seasons. So it depends on what season your life is in. But if you never step out, you're never going to find out. So, I love teaching, but it's definitely not going to be the end. It's not going to be my last career. I think I'll make one more move, probably in education, most likely in education. But man, I agree with Jackie, like we need teachers, Pacific Island teachers, like not only for our own people, but working for at a Decile 10 school. It's like that, them seeing a brown teacher, it's kind of blows their mind sometimes. And, they learn about you, and you kind of have that influence to break ideas that they have about our people.
Right.
And, like they gravitate towards you because of the kind of person. You're different. You don't look like the rest of the teachers. You don't look like what they're used to. So you actually have an opportunity. It doesn't matter what school you're at, what decile, private or not, you have that opportunity to influence change, to change mentalities, ideas about our people. And, I get a lot of slack for like, why are you at decile 10? Why are you at a modern learning? It's like, these are usually the students the people that grow up, always see our people as lazy people. So if you have that opportunity to stand up in front of the class and you teach them, like, I can remember when I started teaching them about Black civil rights and about the Treaty of Waitangi, the way that, the British treated the Māoris. And they were just like so upset. They were like, why did they treat the Māori people like this? The injustice, they're really passionate about injustice. And it's like, they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know, kind of thing. So, it doesn't matter what school you're at, what decile you're at, like being Pacific Islander and that, it's great. Like they want to see people that look like you, but even if they're not Pacific Islander, you get to influence change. Yeah. And I think if you're looking at teaching or you have an interest in kids, you don't even have to be interested in students. Like, I didn't think I was great with kids, but if you can teach, and as Jackie was saying, we're naturals at it. I mean, looking after your little cousins, your little siblings, telling them to put on their clothes, get to Sunday school, all of that stuff, that is actually teaching. Yeah. It's actually the most natural thing I've ever done as a career. Yeah.
Jackie, I actually want to ask you that question now. So what inspired you to become a teacher for all those years?
To be honest, I actually never thought about becoming a teacher. After I did my degree in 2000, I didn't know what the heck I was going to go into after I did my BA. And a girlfriend of mine at that time was finishing too. And I asked her where she was off to, and she said, I'm going to apply Auckland Uni. Is just starting their first year of that 1-year diploma, postgraduate diploma in teaching. And she was going to go and apply, and I said, could I tag along? And like you said, the rest is history. And it's that's how I ended up in teaching, was because I didn't know what else to do with my degree. and went along and found it as my calling. I absolutely love it, hence why I'm still doing what I do. And with the teaching and the deaning, it's a real nice balance from the two. So there's a lot of pastoral stuff, and in my deaning, there's a lot of connection with our families and our communities and outside agencies. But my teaching is purely just my connection and the interaction with my kids and that. And I think it was just a blessing that I tagged along with Isabella at that time and went with it. Because after that I had no idea what I was going to do, even though I've got have got this degree now, but what now?
Yeah.
So that was me, and I absolutely love it. So it's ups and downs, but most of the time it's great. It's what I love to do.
Cool. I'm just out of curiosity, because talking to you too, I'm reflecting back on my high school years, and I remember our dean would never let us get away with coming to school with the wrong shoes, the wrong uniform. And I remember they would confiscate our phones. And one of the things because I went to a Catholic girls' high school out here in South Auckland, and they would stand at the gate. Our dean would stand at the gate, tell you to open your bag, grab the fizzy drink out of your bag, and tip it out on the drain right in front of you. Wow. Are you guys that extreme?
I have high expectations.
Junk food.
Hell no. Like my kids know what our expectations are.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not that extreme. I work on a high trust model with our kids.
Not us.
And they, and I've got beady eyes. I can see them from anywhere. They can try and hide, but I'll eventually catch up with them. And our school has developed a culture where they know. If you're in the wrong school shoes, just go to the student centre and we'll sort it out there. We give them shoes, give them socks, and there are kids that will try you. But eventually, it's just a matter of having that conversation. We do, in regards to connect with them first before you try and, wow at them, because the only interaction you're going to get from them is going to be a negative one, and that's not what you want to waste your time on. So no, not that extreme, but we work on making sure that our kids know the expectations of our school and our rules and that, and we try as teachers to model that too.
Right. Awesome. That's so good to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Lingy? Are you that extreme?
Nah, so we don't really have so from year 9, 10 and 11, they don't they have a uniform, but they just have a top. So it's either a top, a shirt, they've got Letterman jackets, they've got hoodies that they can wear, which is part of school uniform. Then you can wear any pants, shorts, denim shorts, skirts, whatever you want for bottoms and shoes. Year 12 and 13 is fully mufti. But even that, year 9, 10 and 11 can't even follow that. I just find that you just got to prioritize where you put all your energy. I mean, giving up to 10, what are you trying to get out of giving, trying to keep putting all your energy into keeping, uniform? The expectation needs to be there, and there are times when you really need to enforce it. But you got to think of the learning. What is the learning? What is the outcome? What are you trying to get out of it? Are them trying to trump the kids? You really got to think, what are you trying to get out of it? And I think it is the least of your worries. It is one of the last things that you think about as a teacher. You just don't have time to be where's your shoes? Where's your pants? Why are your shorts that short? Come on. It's I think it's important, and I think schools still hold it in high regards, really strict with uniforms. But I think at the end of the day, it's not about what you really wear.
Yeah.
And you just, it depends on the school and its values, but you're not going to find me patrolling the gates. I'll rather make my coffee in that time and get ready for school.
Oh my gosh, Macaulay High School. I hope it's good. Sorry. Okay, cool. So just our final question. Thank you so much again. But before we head on to we'll head on to our final question now. Any advice for parents out there who are feeling stressed about having to work from home and also having to play teacher? We'll start with you.
What's how you feeling?
Yeah.
Okay. Just don't do it. Don't do both. You're a mum. You're a dad. Stick to that. You're not called. We're getting paid to be teachers, even during this time, and don't stress yourself out. The whole reason why we're on lockdown is that so the virus doesn't spread, not so that we can test you on your teaching skills. No, it's got nothing to do with. It's important to keep the learning going and having that ongoing learning, but first and foremost, you're a parent, and you know, the school, everyone understands, the school understands that, and you know, I would rather you be safe and be, you know, your family's functioning than for you to be stressing out over schoolwork.
Right.
Do what you can. If you can't do it, don't worry. We're gonna, you know, things are looking promising now. We're down to a level 3 next Monday, but don't stress yourself out. Like, just worry on providing for your family and keeping your kids safe and healthy. That's your first priority. Everything else will come, and we're not going to be stuck here forever. It's just something that we're going through as a nation, and don't be hard on yourself. Like, just everyone stay in their lane. It's okay. You can't do everything, and if you feel like you can't, like you want to be this teacher and parent, then that's okay. But don't put that stress upon yourself. And there is so many people that you can reach out to. I think a really good idea is, especially if you're part of a community or a church community, is reach out and gather whoever are teachers at in your church or in your community, and reach out and be like, hey, I can provide help here and there for these subjects,
right.
And try to relieve the stress off our Pacifica people, because to be honest, a lot of them are essential workers. A lot of them are stressing out about their jobs. It's the last thing you need. So if you have the skills, you've got the experience, reach out to your people and try to help out where you can. But for our parents, it's going to be okay. Like, just don't stress yourself out about it. Everything's going to go back to normal. Yeah.
Cool. What about you, Jaqui?
Absolutely, I totally agree. Don't stress, and like you said, if you want to do both, don't put that stress on yourself. That's not fair. And also, don't put it on your child too. That's not fair. You know, don't take all the angst out on your kids and yourself, and don't feel bad at all. It's not worth it, really. Just don't stress. Also, there's Talanoa Ako is a program I'm also involved in with 531 PI. So parents, if we were supposed to roll out 10 workshops, and the whole idea is to equip parents with the tools and to enable them to step up and teach their kids and help their kids. Because of COVID-19, those are not happening, but every Monday, I'm not sure what time, my apologies, but 531 PI and the Ministry of Education have got that running on Mondays. So, and there's lessons there in regards, but these are targeted to parents that, you know, even if you sit down with your child, there's going to be an NCA, what is NCA, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of initiatives that are happening. And when the lockdown and everything is lifted and we're back at level 1, there are community groups out there in churches that have been funded to help families, you know, pick up where we've left it. So it is important that we get that message out to our families that there are support groups out there that are willing to do the work, to put in the work, to get our parents up to speed with things, and also just the basic tools that they can do to help not only themselves but to help their children, and that's happening everywhere. And even on TV, if you don't have the internet, I don't have a Chromebook, but on TV, not quite sure where, there's a channel, you know, for our kids to learn. There's primary stuff, or on it. There's also some stuff there's some science lessons up to, you know, for 15-year-olds. So where there's resources out there, but all in all, it's not worth it. Don't stress.
Don't do it.
Okay, yeah,
cool.
just don't do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. Was there anything I should like to add?
No, just
I think we've pretty much covered everything. We've been going on for like over an hour, so that's really good discussion. But yeah, thank you so much for you both for giving up your time to do this with me. I really appreciate it. I'm not a parent myself, but I know that when I do become a parent, I'm going to be fully prepared. If we ever, God forbid, we ever go through something like this again. But yeah, thank you so much. Are you both looking forward to going back to school and seeing your kids in real life?
Yep, I'm looking forward to seeing our kids and just hearing from them how things have gone. I think just as a last thing too is another thing that it's highlighted is that as schools we haven't done enough work in regards to teaching our kids how to cope with situations like this. I mean, like I said, who would have thought, well-being, it's an absolute, should be the first thing for our kids. But a lot of our kids, I'm hearing from my kids, like, Miss, I'm scared and, I don't know what to do, all this kind of stuff. So maybe that's something that we need to work on is give our kids some strategies and tools on how to cope with overwhelming situations like this, and not only just make it a health lesson where that stuff is taught, but some basic life skills everywhere. Just think that's critical.
Cool. All
anyway,
right.
That was my 2 cents worth.
All good. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Lingy, was there anything I should like to add?
Nah, just be safe and just for going down to level 3. I know a lot of schools will be opening, but just had to make it clear to my kids it's not a time to come and socialize. You will be put in bubbles, and if you can stay home and do the learning from home. But just be safe. That's paramount over being at school at this time. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. This is going to go on YouTube as well, and I'll post a few clips on Instagram so parents that follow me on Instagram can have a look and get some of your guys' wisdom. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Teachers. Bye.
Bye.